Namaskar. India is making a huge transition towards clean energy. The goal is, of course, to reach carbon neutrality. And the government has come out with a massive scheme. It's called PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. It has a total outlay of 75,021 crore rupees. That's equivalent to about $10 billion. It will provide people with rooftop solar, and they will be able to get free electricity up to 300 units per month. And the target is of 10 million households. To tell us more about this wonderful scheme, we have with us Bhupinder Singh Bhalla, who is the Secretary in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. So what's the scheme all about, and what are its goals?
Thank you. Very nice meeting you here today. The scheme is about installation of rooftop solar across the country. We've had a rooftop solar program earlier, but this one is targeting 1 crore households as quickly as possible. So that is what it is. Under the scheme, we are giving the subsidy of about 60,000 up to 2 kilowatt, about 30,000 per kilowatt, and 78,000 for a 3 kilowatt household. A 3 kilowatt household rooftop system would translate to roughly about 300 units in a month, and therefore our subsidy is tailored to provide people with 300 units of electricity in a month.
So what segments of the population then are being targeted?
If you look at our subsidy structure, which we have come out with, we've capped it at 3 kilowatt. A 3 kilowatt rooftop system, which would provide about 350 units in a month, and you could easily, definitely about 300, would cater to a middle-sized household, 2 to 3 bedroom, maybe one heavy equipment. For the households which have less requirement, a 1 kilowatt a rooftop system may suffice. Somebody may require 2. So we're largely catering to this, but we've not really, we've not said that anybody else cannot use this scheme. So if you want to install a 5 kilowatt system, you are still eligible for subsidy, which is capped at 78,000 rupees.
But why should someone opt for the scheme? What's he or she going to gain?
It's a very good question. And in fact, whenever we get an electricity bill, when you must be getting a bill, you must be, sometimes worried in summer or in winter when the roof, the bill is pretty high. On an average, as I mentioned, 300 units which you can generate for a 3 kilowatt system. If you are paying electricity for that, that amount of units, you may be paying about 1,400 to 1,600 rupees, depending on the rates which are charged to you by the electricity companies. On that, if you install a 3 kilowatt system, it's roughly around 1.5 lakhs, 1.45 lakhs is our estimate. You can get a subsidy about 78,000. You yourself have to install about, pay about 10%. You might have to you may take a loan for the balance. The per month, the EMI would work to about 600 rupees a month. So you can save 1,500 rupees you are paying as electricity bill, while only paying 600 rupees of EMI. That's the beauty of the scheme, and therefore, I don't know of anyone who would not like to save electricity. As far as the middle class households or lower size households are concerned, maybe who are affluent can take a call whether they would like to do, but maybe for decarbonization efforts, if people want to contribute, I think it's a good thing. So therefore, it's a scheme for everyone.
Okay, so I've decided to avail of it. What should I do, sir?
It's very simple. We've simplified the process quite a bit under the new scheme. Earlier, we used to allocate capacities to states under the old scheme. States used to find vendors who would go about and install rooftop systems in a cluster, or they'll go looking for consumers. We made it very, very transparent now. We have a national portal for PM Surya Ghar Yojana, where anybody can go online and apply. Registration takes maybe 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. You can apply. Application is a little longer, where you will need the help of a vendor who can come and see what your roof size is, what kind of system you need, Otherwise, you can also do it yourself. We have on our portal, we've simplified to the extent that you can go on our website and estimate how much of rooftop system is good for you. That we have done. So you go on our portal, look at the calculator, look at the technology we have used to estimate what system you would like to install. You go ahead and apply. After you've applied, then you go ahead and install a system, and that you can choose any vendor on our portal. We have a large base of vendors we listed on the portal. You can choose anyone who's interested. You can decide what quality you need, what exactly you need, do you want to add a battery or not, and so on and so forth. Go ahead and install. As soon as the DISCOM, the power distribution company, gives us goes and inspects and certifies that it has been installed, the subsidy will flow to your bank account directly from us.
Right. So, but many people, at least in the urban areas, live in apartments. So, does the scheme apply to them?
We have kept a provision for the group housing and the resident welfare associations as well. But there it is, because the roof space is common. Usually, it will be very rare that the roof space is allocated among the the flat owners or the flat occupiers. So there we've kept a provision for subsidy for rooftop system for a group housing society, but only for common facilities. But we've kept a provision this time for EV charging as well, because that's something that we want to promote.
So what's the government doing then to accelerate the adoption of this, and are there any challenges that the government's facing?
In the last scheme that we had, we saw that there were a lot of difficulties that we faced in the tender mode, which was there, and we wanted to move to a more transparent, more faster method for people to deploy the rooftop systems. We've simplified the process tremendously. We are using technology. But there will be some challenges will remain. For example, it's important for it takes time for the installation, so people will have to look for vendors, understand what is good for them. So we will have, what we will be doing is we will also be listing out some quality products, parameters on which they can evaluate. The rollout is going to be massive. From our earlier scheme had a target of achieving 4 gigawatt capacity in about 5 years, then we extended it to 7 years. Here we have target of doing 1 crore household in as quickly as possible, maximum 3 years. I mean, that's the kind of outline deadline we've kept for ourselves, and we feel that we would like to of course speeden it up, get it done as quickly as possible. So therefore, the challenges what we've seen currently is that the number of vendors in the ecosystem are still limited. But with this new scheme coming in, see, we've had a lot of discussions in the run up to the scheme, rollout of the schemes. So the vendors are now quickly coming on board. They're expanding their teams. They need people on the ground who can actually go to the rooftop and get the installation done. You need electrician, you need supervisors, you need masons, mistri, who will go ahead and actually install it. So you need a team of people on the ground who actually get it done. Our current estimate was that we have roughly about 10,000 to 20,000 such teams across the country working on rooftop, who are working on rooftop. But with 1 crore target, our estimate is that we need about 100,000, 1 lakh teams on the ground. So this is something that we are trying to quickly address. We are bringing in training programs. We are bringing in the vendors. So we are, as a whole ecosystem, we are trying to address these challenges which are emerging.
How does this scheme, link up with India's goals internationally, and of responsible growth and this energy transition that we are targeting?
Yeah, as you would note that India is fast emerging as a country which believes in energy transition, and we have committed to do so. We've announced a target of achieving net zero by 2070. We already have committed to achieving 50% of our electricity capacity from renewable sources, non-fossil sources of electricity by 2030. Overall, we've set a target for achieving 500 gigawatt of non-fossil electricity capacity. Nuclear is going to be very small out of this non-fossil. So essentially, out of 500, we would need to achieve about 485 gigawatt or so from renewable energy sources. We need about 300 gigawatts of solar capacity. We would need about 100 gigawatt of wind capacity, and the balance would come from hydro and other bioenergy and so on and so forth. To achieve 300 in solar capacity, we really cannot depend only on the ground mounted system, which is the way the grid scale, the way we are doing right now. We have large projects coming in which are being set, established across the country to meet the large demand which is emerging. But it's also important to have electricity produced near people, near the requirement. Whereas the industry can live with, large, you can have, grid mounted, grid scale solutions feeding the energy to the industry. People need energy where they live. Right. And it's very important that this decentralized production of electricity is encouraged. If you can have a decentralized solutions, we will need to transmit less, we'll need to produce less in other parts of the country. So we overall, the economy will benefit. That's number one. And number two, if you have your own, if I'm generating my own electricity, I'm sort of independent of what's happening around the world in other parts of the country. So I can be insulated to some extent as far as electricity, provision to for my own requirements. You
can see that there are lots of advantages. So it requires a sort of a mission mode that means everyone would like to contribute. So let's say, if I'm a professional, if I'm doing a business, if I'm a woman, just a lay person, how can I actually participate?
I think the best way to contribute to this mission that we've launched is to participate vigorously in it. If you have a house, you have a roof which is vacant, you should use it for installation of rooftop solar. It will be beneficial to you. It's not, and of course to the society in general, it will be beneficial. Sometimes people have an apprehension that the roof will be utilized and therefore, I can't use it for anything else. Now, of course, you can raise the structure to whatever extent, and you can have an additional kind of a roof from the rooftop solar system, which would provide, protection from sunlight or from rain, and you can still use the roof. That's one. Number two, I think if you can go ahead and if you are really, want to contribute to this mission in some way, please go ahead and popularize it. Please tweet it. Please explain the benefits of the scheme to people Just pass the word around.
What about the states? What role do the states have? Does the government at the center expect them to, top up the subsidy or something like that?
The states are important in two aspects. I would say they are crucial partners in implementation of the scheme. We cannot have installation of rooftop solar unless the power distribution company, the DISCOM, really helps us in getting them installed. But essentially, the people have to install it, but the final clearance is given by the DISCOM. The meter, the net meter which is put, the bidirectional meter or a smart meter, is to be installed by the DISCOM. So the final clearance is still to be given by the DISCOM. So we want them to speeden up the process of giving, having the projects commissioned at the earliest, giving clearances, so that we can pass the subsidy quickly to the consumer. That's one. And number two, we have regulations across states. This is electricity is a regulated sector in some aspect. The state regulations differ. Every state regulator has a different perspective. Nationally, Ministry of Power continues to bring out rules for protection of consumer interest, but they essentially have to be adopted by different state governments. Every state needs to look at it, and we need to harmonize such regulations across different states.
So how does the economics work for me? Do I have to avail a loan first? And if I do, what are the kind of terms that I would be looking at?
If you, let's look at a 300, as I mentioned, a 300 units kind of a system. If you install a 3 kilowatt system, your cost is about 1.5 lakhs. You will get a subsidy about 78,000. So balance is 72,000 is something that you'll have to, or about 70,000 is something that you have to bear from your pocket. You can either avail, if you have money, you can avail it. You can use your own money and install it. Or if you feel that you do not want to, you don't have sufficient funds to invest in something like this, go ahead and take a loan. We have tied up with banks. This is again a beauty of this scheme. For the first time, we have tied up loans from public sector banks at 7% interest currently, which I think is almost the rock bottom of at which such facilities are being provided. We have a huge capital base available. Public sector banks are on board. So you can get loans at about 7%, and then for a 50,000 rupee loan, roughly your EMI would be about 600 rupees. So you will be saving 1,500 rupees, paying off 600 rupees every month, and be beneficial not only for the time duration of the loan period, which could be, let's say, 10 years. Every rooftop system is capable of working for at least 25 years. That's the general. We have solar panels which have been working for 30-35 years also. It gets degraded a bit, so the efficiency drops at near the end. It keeps dropping, but maybe after 25 years it may not be that economical, but it still runs.
Is there maintenance involved? Maintenance costs?
It's almost zero maintenance. You only have to keep the panels clean. So you can just use water, spray water, or clean it, and that's good enough. It's almost zero maintenance.
What is the concept then of a model solar village, and what's the government doing to promote this?
In this scheme, PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, we have announced that a component for the model solar villages. We've had many states, many districts coming forward and doing some innovations on the ground. Somebody has done a little more, somebody has done a little less, but we wanted to spread the message of a solar village across the country. So under this scheme, we have a provision of one model solar village per district of India. Every district of India will get a model solar village. This will be a model to the extent of using rooftop capacity to the maximum extent on all houses. The buildings would be solarized, and then all the public infrastructure where whatever electricity is needed to power the general community use, including EV charging, can be used, can be supplied through solar electricity.
So you're the Secretary of New and Renewable Energy. So this is solar we are talking about. How does solar compare with the other renewable energies, and why is this scheme, sort of better in that respect, or is it better in that respect?
We've had wind energy. Solar is not the only renewable energy, as you know. We have solar, wind, hydro, bioenergy. Essentially, these are the four. Then you have many other new sort of renewable energy which are there. Looking at India's, look at how India is blessed with solar, sun rays and sunlight. We feel that solar has the capacity to be utilized and deployed across the country. We have wind energy, which is there in India. Wind energy has been there, systems have been there in India for the last 40 plus years. But wind is largely dominant in the coastal areas and some pockets across some of the other states as well. It's not dominant across the country. Solar, on the other hand, is available across the country, and therefore we feel that solar is something which needs to be popularized and where we have more scope. In fact, as I mentioned, out of 500 gigawatts that we want to aim at, a majority would be solar, because we know that this is where we can do the best.
So are there any best practices that we can adopt, or perhaps best practices that we can show to the rest of the world as a result of this project?
Different countries have adopted different models. Somebody has adopted a feed-in tariff, national feed-in tariff, which means what's the rate at which the electricity will be, the surplus electricity. For example, a rooftop system which produces, suppose you install a 5 kilowatt system. You use, suppose you get about 600 units of energy or 575 units of energy. You may be using 500. in a month. The 75 goes in sold to the power distribution company, and then if you still need, you still surplus overall, that's kind of sale to the electricity distribution company. So you get paid for it. So that's called and that rate at which that payment is made is called a feed-in tariff. So some countries have deployed a national feed-in tariff, which means the standard rate at which it will be bought. I am aware, so I can be aware that if I have surplus energy, the DISCOM will buy it at 3 rupees or 5 rupees or 4 rupees, whatever that feed-in tariff is. So some countries have deployed that. Some countries have deployed a battery storage system in other way. Some people are using different ways in popularizing it. We feel that looking at the length and breadth of India, the kind of diversity we have, we feel that this new scheme, where we feel would have success across the country, would set a tone, I think, for other countries to adopt in some way. Larger countries with a lot of diversity of climate zones, or if the area wise. So we feel that this will will something which maybe some of the other countries could emulate. We're also going to use a lot of technology in this aspect. So the portal that we have, we're using a lot of technology. We're using GIS. We're giving you the power to select. We are giving you the power, you as a consumer, to choose. We are moving the power from the DISCOM or from the state or from the vendor in that way to the consumer, who is the king. So we want this to work out, to come out with a model which we feel can then probably be replicated across sectors as well.
So you did say that as soon as possible. So is there a target date as well? I mean, you have a target number, which is 10 million households. So
we have a target number, which is 1 crore.
Yes.
Every scheme which is made, we need to provide for a period in which it is to be implemented. But that's the larger goal. The target that we've been given is to have the installation done as quickly as possible. We did about 6 lakh households, about 7 lakh households were covered under rooftop solar under the old scheme, the existing scheme. So we moved now to this scheme. So here we want to do 1 crore households in half the number of years, and probably in a fraction of what was done earlier. So that's the kind of a challenge, a target we have for ourselves, but we feel we can do it.
And what's the feedback you've got from stakeholders? Are they happy with the scheme? Are they on board?
When we were formulating the scheme, we did a lot of stakeholder consultation. So the formulation has taken some time because we've taken on board the stakeholders in the preparation of the scheme. That's number one. And number two, you can see if you look at the response we are getting, it's tremendous. In fact, if you go ahead and ask people, a lot of people are already aware of the scheme. A lot of people, there's so much of buzz around it. The vendors are coming on board. We have new companies coming and saying, okay, we want to become a large player in this installation. They've never been in this industry earlier, but they are in a related field, but not in rooftop. So they are saying, okay, we want to become a vendor. So a lot of interest from all stakeholders. In fact, if you look at the overall numbers, how the kind of progress, the kind of response we are getting is just tremendous. We already have more than 25 lakh people who have registered on our website.
Great. So, I mean, I can see that the demand is great, but what about the supply side? How ready, it's going to increase, obviously, the production capacity. I mean, how well prepared are we?
India has become, because of the grid scale solution that we are implementing, the renewable energy we have been implementing, we become a very large, becoming a larger player every day. We've already, we had started our manufacturing capacities addition some years ago. In fact, we have a PLI scheme for solar PV manufacturing, which is doing quite well. Apart from the PLI, we also have other companies who are starting manufacturing outside the PLI. As of now, we have a solar module manufacturing capacity of more than 32 gigawatt in the country. The and that's something which the applications which are either been registered or under process. In addition, we have another 15 gigawatt or so which are likely to come in. So roughly have about 45 to 50 gigawatt of capacity per year of solar PV module capacity currently. The total capacity that we'll need for 1 crore household, we estimate the total capacity will be 30 gigawatt, 30. And we are talking about a manufacturing capacity of at least 30 per year. We already have. So we don't foresee the manufacturing as a challenge. We will need, of course, module made in India from cells made in India, solar PV solar cells made in India. In cells, we already have about 6 gigawatt per annum of capacity, which will grow to about 18 gigawatts in the next 2 months per year. So we will have sufficient capacity of cells and modules to cater to this scheme. So that's not something that we are worried about.
A final question, sir. So after this, what next?
After, let's do the 1 crore first, and then we'll tell you what next. It depends on how fast we can do it, and depends on what the market demands. We'll see how it goes. Often it happens that, what's the government role? Government role is to kickstart something. Government role is to come in and encourage something where it's not been done earlier, or maybe it's not been done at a scale which has not been done earlier. That's the role of the government. So once we are successful in this scheme, which we are confident we will be, we will evaluate and see. And we are not giving subsidy beyond, as I mentioned, we are not giving subsidy. We are capping subsidy at 3 kilowatt. But you have people who will be setting up 10 kilowatt, 15 kilowatt. They're bigger houses. People who can afford it, maybe installing much larger capacities. The kind of response the scheme is getting is spreading the word around, and it's possible that a large part of the people who are going to install the rooftop solar may not want to even to avail the subsidy. In fact, this is another thing we have done in this scheme. We are coming out with a give it up campaign. Of like we've done in some of the other sectors. The government will come out with a give it up campaign. If you can afford it and you can do without the subsidy, you may perhaps you would like to give it up. And people who of course would want it can go ahead and avail it. But that's something we're going to do. So we are hoping that this will create an ecosystem for rooftop solar systems to thrive in this country and spread. Maybe without the subsidy of the government, but of course we'll see how it goes. Let's see. As soon as we have successfully completed the scheme, then we will see what's the way ahead.
Mr. Bhupinder Singh Bhalla, thank you very much for talking to us here on DD India.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.